Hey everyone, I'm Bishop Trevor, and this is a discipleship moment. And today we want to look at disciple making and the person of peace. Yes, the person of peace. We find this person introduced to us through Jesus. This is not a specific individual with a name, but rather someone who is a person that God uses to open up the gospel through multiplication. Let's look at Luke chapter 10, verses 5 to 7. Jesus says, whatever house you enter, first say, peace be to this house. And if a son of peace is there, your peace will rest upon you. That's where we get this concept of a person of peace. Jesus taught that when disciples entered a new community, God would already have someone there who was receptive and hospitable. You see this in several passages in the New Testament. You see this in Acts 16, 14 to 15, with the woman, the seller of purple named Lydia. And the Lord uses her to help open up the Philippian church. With that is the Philippian jailer, and he is discipled and his household. And again, the Lord opens up that Philippian community. We see it in Acts chapter 10 with this Cornelius, this man Cornelius. He comes to Peter, or rather the Lord unites Peter and Cornelius, and then Cornelius opens up a whole community, a Gentile community, who will be baptized and filled with the Holy Spirit. So this individual opens up more than just themselves. They open up a whole community to the gospel. So they are a special person. So it's one thing to lead someone to the Lord and you're leading this individual, but it's a whole nother thing when God gives us a person of peace. And that person of peace gives us an open door to others. And so when we lead someone to the Lord, that's disciple making by addition. But when God gives us a person of peace, that is disciple making by multiplication, because it's not just one person coming to the Lord, but it's opening up through many means. And so a person of peace typically has three signs. One, they are receptive. When you're building a relationship with you, you notice that they are receptive. They're spiritually open. Perhaps they're curious about faith. They're willing to listen to your testimony. They're not hostile to you. That's one sign. Secondly, they're relationally connected. They are influential. They have family connections. They have friends. They have a community of which they are respected within. And that's very important. They have a workplace with relationships, and they can connect you to their supervisors, their coworkers and colleagues. And of course, they are hospitable. They welcome you. They welcome you into their home. They welcome you into conversations. They welcome you into their very lives and into their community. Hospitality is often the open door to multiplication. So when you find somebody who you're meeting and they say, you need to come to my house, or, hey, why don't you come over? I've got several friends. That's a key that the Lord may be introducing you to a person of peace. Why is it that persons of peace matter in disciple making? Because instead of trying to reach everyone individually, Jesus has taught his disciples to find a person that God is already working in, disciple them, and reach their network through them. Why this is extremely critical to disciple making. One, the gospel spreads faster. It's one thing that if you meet someone and their life turns to the Lord, but they may not have a network. They still matter to the Lord. Heaven rejoices over one soul that comes into the kingdom. But when the Lord opens the door for a person of peace, the gospel is spread not only to them, but the gospel is going to spread throughout their relational network. Secondly, there's a deeper trust. in the gospel, when God leads you to a person of peace, the credibility of the gospel spreads. There is cultural credibility. And this is so important in today where people are not as trusting because of social media, because of politics and various things. But when the Lord gives you a person of peace, he gives us credibility in the culturally where somebody can vouch for us, and there is sustained growth. The Lord is opening doors where disciples are making disciples are making disciples. And so this shifts us from hunting to harvesting, because this is really the Lord delivering to us people who he has been working in, who his spirit is working towards. And so instead of chasing resistant people, Jesus says, move on. They've rejected the gospel. Don't worry about whether doors are closed in your faces. Don't worry about whether or not someone rejects the gospel. And because I know often it feels like they're rejecting you. Don't worry about that, because the Lord has a person of peace. And that person of peace is going to set this field ablaze with the grace of God. And time is precious. And so when someone shuts the door, don't worry, move on. Because when the door opens of a person of peace, God's going to send fire. And when you find a person of peace, do not bypass their network. Sometimes in the old days, we would try to pull people away from their community, away from their network, for fear that they would be pulled back in. But when these people are so intrinsically tied to their network, you don't want to pull them out. You want to disciple them so that they can pull their friends out of a world and a context of sin. So keep them where they are, and just disciple them there. Don't pull the person of peace away from their community. Disciple them in their context. This is part 1 of disciple making with a person of peace. I'm Bishop Trevor, and this is a disciple making moment.